There's a darkness that calls to me, an abyss of the unexplained, the horrifying, and the truly nightmarish. I can't look away, even as the shadows threaten to consume me. Tonight, we descend into the heart of terror, where legends are born from fear, and nightmares claw at the edges of our sanity. Here, the shadows are alive, and they are watching. In the suffocating forests, something massive moves with a predatory grace. Is it Bigfoot, or a far more malevolent force stalking us from the darkness? Staring into the black, we catch glimpses of thin, soulless forms with endless obsidian eyes. Are these the Greys, harbingers of terror that invade our dreams and reality alike? Above us, jagged shadows twist and writhe in the storm. Inside, formless phantoms flicker in the ruins, their presence suffocating, their intentions unknowable. Somewhere out there, monstrous shapes prowl with a hunger that chills the soul. Their gaze finds you, even when you think you're alone. Welcome to the Shadow Theory.
The American Southwest, endless horizons, ancient canyons, and a silence that swallows you whole. But when night falls, the desert transforms. Shadows twist, the wind whispers, and the darkness feels alive. Out here, people vanish and return changed, haunted by memories of impossible encounters, silent crafts, beams of light, and beings with inscrutable eyes. These aren't just stories, they're confessions from ordinary people, marked by scars and a deep, unshakable fear. In the desert's darkness, something is watching, and its secret is terrifying. Across Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and beyond, a region known as the Abduction Corridor pulses with unexplained phenomena. Here, UAP sightings and abduction tales are a chilling pattern, not a rarity. Is it the isolation, the clear skies, or the government secrets buried in places like Area 51? Locals live with the unknown, missing time, mutilated cattle, and marks left by silent visitors. This corridor is a mosaic of fear, running through the heart of America. Imagine driving at night. One moment it's 9 p.m., the next it's 1 a.m. with hours erased from your memory. This missing time is the first clue: confusion, denial, then flashes of terror. Bright lights, floating sensations, and emotionless eyes. Hypnosis reveals more: abductions, examinations, and communication without words. The blank space fills with nightmares, and reality is never the same. Missing time isn't just lost hours, it's a doorway to the unknown. In these encounters, technology fails. Cars stall, phones die, cameras capture only static. It's as if an unseen force erases evidence, isolating witnesses in a blackout of fear. Communication is telepathic, fragmented, and alien. Images and messages lost in the static of our understanding. The interference deepens the trauma, stripping away our sense of control. When the world goes silent and the static rises, you realize how fragile your reality truly is. We gaze at the stars, searching for answers, but what if something is already watching us? Abduction stories flip the script. We're not explorers, but specimens under observation. The Greys' bottomless eyes scan us, collecting data, leaving us exposed and powerless. The phenomenon is intimate, invasive, and suggests we're part of a program beyond our comprehension. The silence from the stars isn't absence, it's presence, already here. In Colorado's San Luis Valley, high strangeness is a way of life. Lights, crafts, and creatures defy explanation. The Myrna Hansen case stands out: abduction, missing time, and terrifying experiments by multiple alien types. Her ordeal is echoed by others. trauma, violation, and a fear that never fades. Researchers come seeking proof, but the phenomenon remains elusive, as if it knows it's being watched. Here, when night falls, you lock your doors and hope you're not the next to vanish. New Mexico is a land of enchantment and deep secrets. From the Roswell incident to chilling abduction stories, people here report silent, ongoing surveillance. They see small figures at the edge of their property, just beyond the porch light. Sometimes a gray being stands silently in the corner of their bedroom. Witnesses remember the huge, black, almond-shaped eyes, emotionless yet communicating directly into the mind. The sense of being watched never fades. In New Mexico, the silent observers remain. Moving north into Utah, the abduction stories take on a particularly insidious dimension: the targeting of entire families. These are not isolated incidents involving a single witness on a lonely road. These are accounts of multiple family members, sometimes across generations, being taken together. The experiences suggest a long-term, systematic program of genetic monitoring and harvesting. The narrative shifts from a random encounter to a calculated, ongoing project where human families are treated like lines of livestock, their genetic material studied and manipulated over decades. This is an invasion not just of the home, but of the bloodline itself. Consider for a moment the terrifying case of the Martin family, of course that's a pseudonym to protect their identity, from a rural area outside of Salt Lake City. Over a period of several years in the 1990s, the entire family, mother, father, and 2 young children, reported a series of abduction experiences. They would wake up with shared fragmented memories of being floated from their beds. They would find themselves together in a strange circular room, surrounded by tall, slender beings. The parents would be separated from the children, subjected to physical procedures, while they could hear the terrified cries of their kids in another room, a form of psychological torture that is almost unimaginable. The details provided by the family are chillingly consistent. They described the beings as having long, thin fingers and an unnerving, insect-like quality to their movements. The children, in separate interviews and drawings, depicted the same sterile examination rooms and the same large-eyed entities. They spoke of having instruments inserted into their bodies and of being shown confusing, often terrifying images in their minds. The family was left with unexplainable physical marks, nosebleeds, and a deep, shared trauma that nearly tore them apart. The sanctity of their home was shattered, replaced by a nightly fear of a silent, inevitable return of their tormentors. This pattern of familial abduction is one of the most disturbing aspects of the entire phenomenon. It implies a purpose that goes far beyond simple observation. It points towards a possible hybridization program, a central and terrifying theory in modern ufology. Why else would there be such a focus on family genetics, on reproductive organs, on the extraction of eggs and sperm? The idea that human families are being used to create something else, a hybrid race, is a concept so profound and so violating that it is almost too much to contemplate. In the quiet suburbs of Utah, families are being used as unwilling participants in a cosmic experiment of terrifying proportions. Nevada is a land of extremes. The dazzling lights of Las Vegas contrast with the darkness of the Great Basin Desert. Here, Area 51 and endless highways like U.S. Route 50 set the stage for strange encounters. The skies are alive with mysterious lights, some not man-made. Lone drivers report being paralyzed, their cars bathed in light and losing time. Nevada's highways are more than roads. They're gateways to the unknown. Texas is a land of independence and wide-open skies. But beneath those stars, chilling stories emerge, like the 1976 Stanford abduction, where 4 women encountered a blinding, diamond-shaped craft. Physical evidence, radiation burns, and trauma followed. These encounters are aggressive, dangerous, and leave scars, both seen and unseen. In Texas, the unknown is all too real. Arizona's ancient beauty hides a chilling secret. For decades, it's been the epicenter of UFO encounters, none more famous than the Phoenix Lights and the Travis Walton abduction. Walton vanished for 5 days after a close encounter, returning with a terrifying story of alien beings and lost time. In Arizona, the nightmare isn't a dream, it's real, and it finds you wide awake. When people speak of alien abduction, one image consistently emerges: the gray. Small, frail, with smooth, pale gray skin and long, thin limbs, the grays are a paradox of fragility and power. Their large, teardrop-shaped heads and enormous black almond eyes haunt abductees' memories. To look into those eyes is to feel your soul laid bare, a blank slate for our deepest fears. Amidst the terror and violation of abduction accounts, a different, more enigmatic figure sometimes appears. They are known as the Nordics. These beings stand in stark contrast to the diminutive Greys. They are described as being strikingly human in appearance, almost impossibly so. They are tall, often 6 to 7 feet in height, with athletic, well-proportioned bodies. Their features are said to be perfect, almost sculpted, with high cheekbones, straight noses, and strong jawlines. They are the image of idealized humanity, yet there is something about them that witnesses describe as being not quite right, an aura of detachment that betrays their otherworldly origin. Their most prominent features are their fair complexion, pale white skin, and striking hair, which is most often described as being platinum or golden blonde. Their hair is typically straight and worn shoulder length by both males and females. Their eyes are the other defining characteristic, usually a brilliant, piercing blue, though sometimes violet or green. Witnesses often report that their eyes, while beautiful, seem to hold an ancient wisdom and a deep sense of sadness or concern. Unlike the Greys, who seem devoid of emotion, the Nordics are often perceived as projecting feelings of calm, though it is a distant, clinical sort of calm that offers little true comfort. The role of the Nordics in the abduction narrative is complex and deeply ambiguous. In some accounts, they are seen as protectors or guides. They appear after a traumatic examination by the Greys, offering words of reassurance, often telepathically. They may explain that the procedures are necessary, or they may show the abductees startling, vivid images of Earth's future, often depicting ecological disaster or nuclear war. They present themselves as concerned observers, benevolent guardians watching over humanity's troubled development. They seem to be a balancing force, a good cop to the Greys' terrifying bad cop routine. However, a more sinister interpretation exists. Many researchers and abductees believe the Nordics are not saviors, but are simply another part of the deception. Their beauty and apparent empathy could be a sophisticated form of psychological control, designed to make the abductee more compliant and accepting of the violation they are enduring. In some reports, the Nordics are seen overseeing the Greys, standing silently in the background as the smaller beings carry out the intrusive procedures. In this light, they are not protectors, but managers. Their serene presence becomes a mask for a colder, more calculating intelligence, making them perhaps even more frightening than the overtly terrifying Greys. Beyond the more commonly reported Greys and Nordics, there exists a far more bizarre and deeply unsettling type of being. These entities are known as the mantids, named for their striking resemblance to the praying mantis insects of Earth. They are a rare but terrifying presence in abduction reports, often appearing in a leadership or supervisory role. Standing tall, sometimes towering over 7 feet, their form is utterly alien and defies easy comprehension. Their bodies are long, thin, and segmented, covered in a chitinous-looking exoskeleton that can range in color from dark brown to green or even pale white. Their movements are described as jerky and insect-like, yet precise and deliberate. Their limbs are long and multi-jointed, ending in sharp, pincer-like hands or long, delicate fingers. It is their head, however, that is the source of their most profound strangeness. It is triangular, like that of an insect, and can swivel almost 180 degrees on a long, thin neck. The face is dominated by 2 enormous, dark, slanted eyes that are often described as being faceted or possessing a strange, oily shimmer. They have small, complex mouthparts instead of a single mouth, and 2 short antennae are sometimes reported on the top of their heads. Their entire appearance is a violation of our terrestrial understanding of intelligent life. The mantids are almost always reported as being the ones in charge. They are often seen standing behind the Greys, observing the procedures with an air of cold, scientific detachment. abductees get the distinct impression that the Greys are mere biological robots or drones, and that these insectoid beings are the true intelligence behind the abduction phenomenon. The communication from the mantids is said to be telepathic, but unlike the cold data stream of the Greys, it is often perceived as being incredibly ancient, complex, and emotionally overwhelming. To be in their presence is to feel intellectually insignificant, like a microbe under a microscope. Their purpose seems deeply connected to the biological and genetic aspects of the abduction experience. They are often seen near complex equipment, manipulating controls or observing screens that display biological data. Some abductees have reported being placed before these beings for a kind of final inspection, their bodies scanned by the mantids' huge, inscrutable eyes. The feeling is one of being assessed, cataloged, and judged on a purely biological level. The mantids represent a truly alien intelligence, one whose motives and origins are so far beyond our own that their presence instills a unique and profound existential dread. If the Greys are the cold scientists and the mantids are the ancient overseers, then the reptilians are the embodiment of pure primal fear. Accounts of these beings are less common than the Greys, but they are by far the most terrifying. They are described as tall, powerful humanoids, standing anywhere from 6 to 8 feet tall. Their bodies are covered in scales like a lizard or a snake, which can range in color from a dark mottled green to brown or even a pale chalky white. They are powerfully built, with thick muscular limbs and torsos, projecting an aura of immense physical strength and predatory aggression. Their faces are a nightmare brought to life. They have reptilian, snouted features with thin, lipless mouths. Their eyes are a major source of terror, often described as having vertical, slit-like pupils, similar to a cat or a snake. These eyes glow with a malevolent intelligence, often reported as being of vibrant yellow, red, or gold. Many accounts describe a strong, unpleasant, sulfurous odor associated with their presence. They possess large, clawed hands and feet, and some reports even mention a tail. Unlike the silent Greys, the reptilians are sometimes said to speak in a low, hissing, guttural voice that is deeply unsettling. In abduction scenarios, the reptilians are almost universally depicted as being hostile and aggressive. They are the brutes of the alien menagerie, often seen performing the most physically painful and violating procedures. Their touch is described as rough and unpleasant, their actions devoid of any of the clinical detachment of the Greys. Instead, abductees report a sense of contempt and malice from these beings, a feeling of being viewed as nothing more than cattle or an inferior species to be dominated. The fear they inspire is not just psychological, it is a deep, instinctual terror of a powerful predator. The role of the reptilians is often associated with control and domination. In the more complex abduction narratives and conspiracy theories, they are seen as being at the very top of the alien hierarchy, a malevolent force secretly manipulating human society for their own purposes. While this remains in the realm of speculation, the consistency of their description in the most traumatic abduction cases is undeniable. They represent our deepest, most primal fears: the fear of being hunted, the fear of being powerless in the face of a superior physical force, and the fear of an ancient non-human intelligence that views mankind with utter contempt. The anatomy of these visitors is not just about their appearance, it's about their function. The different beings seem to represent a kind of biological machinery, a specialized system designed to carry out the complex and terrifying process of abduction. Each species appears to have a specific role, working in a coordinated, hierarchical fashion that speaks to a long-standing and well-organized operation. The efficiency and purposefulness of their actions are consistently reported by abductees, who describe a process that, while terrifying, feels routine and practiced. It's a horrifying assembly line of which they are the unwilling product. The Greys appear to be the frontline workers, the biological drones tasked with the hands-on labor. Their small stature and lack of emotional expression make them perfectly suited for the task of retrieval and examination. They are the ones who enter the bedrooms, float the subjects from their cars, and perform the majority of the physical procedures. Their telepathic ability is a tool for control, used to paralyze the victim with fear and communicate simple, direct commands. They are the sterile, unfeeling hands of the operation, the living instruments that carry out the will of a higher intelligence without question or deviation from their programmed task. The mantids and Nordics function at a higher level, acting as supervisors, specialists, or psychologists. The mantids, with their ancient and powerful presence, seem to be the scientists and geneticists, observing the procedures and analyzing the data. Their focus appears to be on the biological and genetic material being collected. The Nordics, in contrast, seem to handle the psychological aspects of the encounter. They may be tasked with calming a particularly resistant subject or implanting screen memories to cover the trauma. Their human-like appearance is a tool used to create a false sense of security and ensure the subject's long-term compliance. This specialization suggests a frightening level of sophistication and a purpose that goes far beyond simple curiosity. It points to a large-scale, ongoing project involving the systematic study and manipulation of the human race. The anatomy of the visitors is the anatomy of the program itself. From the reptilian enforcers to the gray technicians and the mantid scientists, each part has its function. The different species are not just random visitors. They are cogs in a vast, incomprehensible machine, a biological apparatus of abduction that has been operating in our world just beyond the edges of our perception for a very, very long time. Long before Europeans arrived, the First Nations told sacred stories of the Star People, beings from the sky. These legends, passed down for generations, describe visitors who traveled in flying shields and glowing orbs. Some were tall and fair, others small with large eyes, echoing modern accounts of Nordics and Greys. For the First Nations, these are not just myths, but literal history, warnings and memories of the ancient Star People. Deep within the canyons of the Four Corners, the Anasazi built magnificent cliff dwellings and thrived for centuries, until suddenly they vanished. They left behind cities, pottery, and mysterious petroglyphs of strange, otherworldly figures. Legends speak of powerful sky beings, kachinas, some benevolent, others terrifying. Did the Anasazi flee a threat from the sky? The warnings remain, carved in stone. The Hopi of Arizona tell of the Ant People, mysterious beings from beneath the earth who sheltered humanity in vast underground caverns during ancient cataclysms. Described as thin, gray, with large eyes, their likeness echoes modern gray alien accounts. The legend suggests a hidden subterranean world and warns that not all help comes without a price. These ancient stories echo in modern fears of secret underground bases, like those rumored in Dulce, New Mexico. Native American prophecies speak of the return of the Star People in flying shields, a sign of great imbalance on Earth. The Hopi Blue Star Kachina foretells a new age, marked by a mysterious star and the day of purification. These flying shields are said to fill the skies, moving silently and in great numbers. Their return is seen as a response to humanity's wars, pollution, and spiritual disconnection. The ancient warnings urge us to look to the skies not with wonder, but with caution. Deep beneath Dulce, New Mexico, rumors swirl of a secret base, where humans and aliens collaborate in the shadows. On the surface, Dulce is just another small town, but below, stories tell of abductions, experiments, and a pact for forbidden technology. Fact or fantasy, Dulce remains the dark epicenter of America's most chilling conspiracy. Phil Schneider, a former government geologist, claimed to help build secret underground bases and survived a deadly battle with aliens beneath the New Mexico desert. His chilling story of firefights, advanced alien weapons, and government cover-ups turned the Dulce-based legend into a visceral tale of terror. Schneider died mysteriously in 1996, leaving behind whispers of conspiracy and a legacy that haunts believers to this day. The stories about Dulce Base describe a facility of incredible size and complexity, a vertical city boring deep into the earth. It is said to have at least 7 distinct levels, each with its own horrifying purpose. The upper levels are reportedly controlled by the human element, dealing with security, communications, and administration. But as one descends deeper into the base, the human presence diminishes, and the alien influence becomes absolute. The air grows colder, the silence more profound, and the experiments more monstrous. The deepest levels are the exclusive domain of the Greys and other alien species, a place where no human is welcome. Level 6 is allegedly known as Nightmare Hall. This is where the genetic laboratories are located. Here, according to whistleblowers, horrific experiments in crossbreeding and genetic manipulation take place. They describe rows upon rows of cages containing bizarre, hybrid creatures, failed experiments that are part human, part animal, and part alien, beings with multiple limbs, creatures that vaguely resemble humans but with leathery skin or reptilian features. Witnesses speak of hearing moans and cries echoing from these cages, the sounds of beings living in a constant state of agony. It is a biological house of horrors, a perversion of nature on an industrial scale. But it is level 7 that is the most feared. This is the ultimate destination for many human abductees. It is described as a massive cryogenic storage facility. Here, thousands of humans are said to be held in cold storage, trapped in a state of suspended animation. Some are kept in large liquid-filled vats, their bodies floating motionlessly in the eerie, blue-glowing fluid. Others are simply stacked in cryogenic units treated like inventory. This is the alleged source of the biological material, the eggs, sperm, DNA, and organs needed for the genetic experiments on level 6. It is a human slaughterhouse and a living gene bank, the final terrifying piece of the abduction puzzle. The purpose of this horrifying operation is the subject of intense debate. The most prevalent theory is that the Greys are a dying race. Their own genetics have degraded through eons of cloning, and they can no longer reproduce naturally. They are using human DNA, which they see as vibrant and diverse, to create a new hybrid race. A race that can survive, a race that will combine the psychic and intellectual abilities of the Greys with the physical vitality of humans. The abductees, the hybrids in the cages, the humans in cold storage, they are all just raw materials for this desperate, monstrous project of self-preservation. Section 4, a bestiary of nightmares. The Dulce base is rumored to house not just Greys, but a terrifying menagerie. Insectoid mantids, predatory reptilians, and more. Each species has its own role: scientists, guards, masterminds, creating a chilling hierarchy. Dulce is whispered to be an interspecies hub, a secretive underground world where humans are mere pawns. The truth may be far more terrifying than we imagine. The Dulce papers, grainy photos, technical schematics, and disturbing notes, allegedly reveal a secret base of genetic experiments and hybrid creatures. Stolen by a whistleblower, their authenticity is fiercely debated. Skeptics call them a hoax. Believers see them as proof of a terrifying reality. The official story is denial, but the legend persists, forcing us to ask, who do we trust, the government or those risking everything to expose the truth? The Greys are the silent intruders of the abduction phenomenon, cold surgeons in the night, harvesting humanity for their own survival. Their species, weakened by eons of cloning, seeks to merge with our genetic vitality. The hybrid program is their desperate hope, combining their intellect with our strength. For abductees, the result is trauma, fear, and the haunting memory of those inscrutable black eyes. The Nordics, tall, beautiful, and uncannily human, appear in abduction stories as guides, offering comfort and visions of hope or doom. Some see them as benevolent protectors, steering us from disaster. Others suspect a deeper manipulation, their empathy a mask for control. Are they guardians or master deceivers? Their true motives remain an unsettling mystery. Lurking in the shadows of the abduction phenomenon are the mantids, tall insectoid beings, ancient and profoundly alien. They oversee the Greys, acting as master geneticists, their motives rooted in dispassionate science. Some believe they seeded life on Earth eons ago, now returning to study their experiment, Encounters leave humans feeling insignificant, as if studied by an intelligence far beyond our own. Their true purpose remains a mystery, but their presence humbles us, reminding humanity we may only be subjects in a cosmic experiment. Of all the beings in abduction lore, none inspire more primal terror than the reptilians. Their motives are not scientific, but domination, complete and total control over Earth and its inhabitants. They are depicted as aggressive, predatory, and contemptuous, leaving victims with profound fear and powerlessness. Whether literal or symbolic, the reptilians represent the darkest answer to why they are here: to rule. We have traveled through the darkest corners of the American Southwest, listening to chilling testimonies and exploring ancient warnings. The evidence remains elusive, but the stories refuse to be silenced. A light in the sky, a period of lost time, a memory seared into the mind. The unblinking eye is always watching, and the monsters are real. How do we process these experiences? Are they hallucinations, folklore, or psychological reactions to stress? Rational explanations comfort us, but the evidence, strange marks, implants, and consistent stories, pushes back. We're left in a gray zone, caught between the unbelievable and the undeniable. The abduction mystery challenges our reality, forcing us to question what we truly know. So where does this leave us? We are left in the dark with nothing but the echoes of terrifying stories. We are left with the chilling words of whistleblowers, the ancient warnings of the First Nations, and the haunted eyes of the abductees. The official world remains silent. Governments deny, scientists debunk, and the media largely treats the subject as a joke. This official silence is perhaps the most unnerving part of the entire mystery. It is a silence that feels heavy, deliberate, and profound. It is a silence that screams, a silence that suggests there is something to hide, something so dark that it must be kept from the public at all costs. Is this silence born of ignorance, because those in power truly know nothing? Or is it born of fear? A fear that revealing the truth would cause a global panic, a collapse of our religious, social, and economic structures? Or is it something more sinister? Is the silence part of a cover-up, a conspiracy to hide a terrible pact made with these non-human forces? A bargain that traded human lives for advanced technology? We do not know. We are left to speculate, to connect the dots in the darkness, and to wonder what horrifying truths may be hidden behind the wall of official denial. The lack of answers is, itself, an answer of a kind. The journey does not end here. The phenomenon is ongoing. Tonight, someone else will see a strange light descend from the sky. Someone else's car will stall on a lonely road. Someone else will wake up with fragmented memories of an impossible encounter, with a feeling of deep violation and a new, unshakable fear of the dark. The program, whatever its ultimate purpose, continues. The visitors, whoever they are, continue their work. They operate on their own schedule according to their own rules, completely indifferent to our disbelief or our terror. They are the constant, silent variable in the human equation. Ultimately, you must decide for yourself. Look at the stories, look at the patterns, and look up at the night sky. The next time you find yourself alone in the dark under a canopy of stars, ask yourself the question: are we truly alone? The unsettling truths of alien abduction in America suggest a chilling answer. They suggest that the silence from the stars is not empty. It is watchful, and it is waiting. The fear is not that no one is out there. The fear is that they are already here. Be careful and watch the sky.